You are now tuned into Flippin The Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome all to episode 26 of Flippin The Birds. I'm Bryan Cameron. He's Chris Infante, and somewhere alongside him, we have our very lovely guest from overseas, Mr. Liam Jenkins, for the final episode of the season, not the final episode of the show, because we're not going anywhere as long as Liam's around.
That's it. I feel bad that I ruined the surprise earlier. I didn't realise it was a big surprise. I was like, hey, I'm Flippin The Birds, it comes so loud. And you're like, oh, God's sake, Liam.
Liam gets so excited to jump on the show that he just goes berserk.
I do. It's always fun. And it was like, we've had it up. Is this number 5 or number 4?
This is number
4,
right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
We'll make number 5. We'll open up next year. We'll be fine. But no, it's always a good pleasure to be back. And I wish I had a party popper just to sprinkle off. But we've got a lot to talk about, I'm sure, and it should be good fun.
So that would be a wild ride for a show. Chris, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm exhausted. I have been up since 2 a.m. with a new baby. Daddy duties. But of course, I still, there's a lot of duty in those daddy duties, but I still, get this second wind up. It's for you guys, of course.
So, let's get on with the show then, right? Eagles lost to the Seahawks, 17-9, ironically the same exact score that we lost to them in the season, but we lost more than that. We lost Carson Wentz in the very first quarter to what people are still debating about for some odd reason of a dirty play or not a dirty play by Jadeveon Clowney. How do you guys feeling about that?
I mean, the good news is that Carson Wentz is back from concussion, so he can play on Sunday. I mean, that was, of course, earlier. That was fantastic. That's great information. I don't know. I mean, Clowney's always been that guy. Like I don't want to say it's high motor, but there's clearly a dirty, nasty element to his play, and that's sort of what makes him so special, but also what makes him a bit of a pain in the ass. Like, he's one of those players, for anyone that follows soccer, it's a player called Mitrovic, where he's so awful and dirty, it's like you hate him if you play against him, you love him if you have him. That's kind of Jadeveon Clowney. Don't think the hit was intentional to knock Carson out of the game. He probably meant to leave with his head, but still, I don't know, it's dirty. It should have been called either way. Whether it was a dirty hit or not, it was legal, should have been called. But we can't really speak on his intent without knowing, him. We just know his style, which is dirty. So
You cannot convince me that it's not a dirty hit. You cannot convince me that it was not intentional. I've watched this video over and over and over and over, and the more I slow it down, the more you see he clearly leads with his helmet. So when you lead with your helmet, it's intent. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You lead with your shoulder and then it ends up being a helmet, then that's a different story. But he completely went down with his helmet, going straight for Carson's head, and then there's no flag.
The only thing I would say is that rule, isn't it, of when the quarterback becomes a runner? And there's obviously the argument if, was Carson Wentz diving and he was being tackled, but is it forward progress? There's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes, but I think, cancel the noise, our bottom line, it was a dirty hit, shouldn't have happened, should have been called, altered the course of the game, and I think if Wentz was in, not to play, devil's advocate, but they probably would have had enough firepower to see off the Seahawks in that game.
I think they would have taken him out, and it's funny about they brought that up about the Wentz diving forward, because during the season, he actually almost was a 2-point conversion, correct me if I'm wrong, or a touchdown that they rescinded because he dove forward and they said that he gave himself up. Mm-hmm. Well, if that's the case, then Wentz technically gave himself up on Sunday, but there was no flag. The league really has to.
But the thing is, he was tackled though, so his knee was down. So regardless if he was giving himself or not, he was down by contact. And then Clowney goes in with the helmet. How is that, if not anything else, a late hit? on someone who was already down by contact. At the very least, that's still a 15-yard penalty for a late hit, no matter if it was personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Well, it would have been if it was a late hit. But sorry for that noise. My dryer's done. It's just wrong all around. I think I saw that the ex-vice president of the officiating came out. Yeah, he came out and said that was a legal hit. So we should expect a hefty fine, at the very least now. But who knows? The NFL botches everything nowadays. I'm still waiting to see what the difference was between the Atlanta play, when the 2-point conversion, and that play and that play on Sunday. It's if Wentz is giving himself up against Atlanta, and no one's touching him, how is he not giving himself up or down by contact when someone is wrapped around his ankles?
Whether we got the flag or not, I mean, it wouldn't have kept Wentz in the game at the end of the day, which really sucks. But a lot of people have been debating that this is a season-ending injury.
I mean, he was in the game for a couple more plays. I know he was deer in headlights after that, but he didn't know where he was. So we saw the report today that he didn't know what day it was. He didn't know what happened last week and all this stuff. Yeah, so I know his wife had to go back there and everything, but it would have maybe given us a shot at a field goal, at least maybe. But who knows? Any misplay is you question what would have happened afterwards. So it's at this point, there's no reason to dwell on it. The season's over. It's not going to bring back Sunday. So.
Yeah. I think in that same vein, it's easy to focus on that Carson Wentz hit and being like, do you know what? That's the big thing that's defined this season. Like, oh my God, they would have beaten the Seahawks if not. You can look back and be like, yeah, well, if the Eagles didn't do this, didn't do that, didn't do this, beat these guys, they wouldn't be playing the Seahawks to begin with, be a different game, different team, it would happen. Like, it's so easy, I think, to look retrospectively and go, that was a hit that ruined the game. Like, I think ultimately, this game for me was just a combination of everything that played the Eagles all year long. Like, if you played Eagles bingo with everything that you had, and you had like the Jason Peters false start penalty, you had a drop on a key 4th down, like all these little things where like missed tackles were another one, where so many problems that have been so consistent all year long. Like we knew, I think, as fans, that the second you get to the playoffs, that you're not going to get let off the hook in the way you were against the Redskins in week 1, for instance. Like, forget any other game, like even that game in the first half, like massively let off the hook. Like you weren't going to get away with that forever, and in the playoffs, it's the thing obviously where winners are separate from like you don't get that second chance, the second wind, and I think it just the toll of the season caught up with them, like with or without Wentz. Like that was always going to be a thing he had to overcome. Of even if Wentz was in there, like you're going to probably have a few drops. The injuries are going to be severe. Jason Peters is going to give up a holding call, which means there's going to be a lot of pressure off the left-hand side. But that's like a spin now, so that was cool. That was nice.
And then Jason Peters saying that he spoke to Clowney, and Clowney said it wasn't dirty. Come on, man.
Leave your friend. Like I don't care if you're friends, whatever. Just leave that for after the game.
I'm not gonna tell you that I beat up your best friend on purpose.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm not gonna do that.
The nightclub, right? Like Liam, LJ comes to Philly, all right, and he's dancing around with some girl, and the guy goes, hey, that's my girl, get back, and hits me, right? I fall back into Chris, big muscly workout Chris, behind me and goes, hey,
I haven't been to the gym in a while.
I went for the first time today.
I'm really right now all big foodie, beery Chris right now, not muscly. I don't want to talk about it. I'm gonna get sad.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. So kind of talking about the injuries that played this season. Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson held their end of season conference today. Howie Roseman came out saying that they hired somebody to be chief of medical staff. Apparently this was a big announcement today, even though the guy's been signed since the 2019 offseason. To figure out what's going wrong with this team. How he kind of blamed it on age, and then he kind of just circled back around it. At this point, 3 years in a row, what can you really blame it on right now? Like, I know it's the NFL, but no team is as consistently injured as this Eagles team.
No, I think the thing that stood out today was how he's saying that basically they're going to take a risk assessment, which is, there's a track record of if you sign a player with an injury history, there's a higher risk he gets injured, which sounds simple, but apparently for the Eagles, not so, all right? So we have to let them discover that on their own. So how he's saying that, it brings up guys like Sidney Jones, who I think if we were let's say Sidney Jones was in this draft and he went down with that injury again at the pro day, I don't think he'd be on the draft board. Same sort of thing with Jordan Howard. We know he had like shoulder injuries of the same sort of nature with Chicago. Probably wouldn't have come in. But then on the backside of it, you've got guys like Malik Jackson who have been healthy their whole career and then go down on the first game. So I don't know. I think that you need to. What I don't get with him bringing that point up is that he's been signed since June to oversee everything and get at the end of the year, like not amidst the crisis when everything's on fire and everyone's dying and they can't work out why they've got 17 Lisfranc injuries. Do it afterwards when it doesn't matter. Like I don't get that. I think surely there had to have been some sort of intervention of like, look, we've now got 5 guys with Lisfranc injuries in the last 12 months. And what's going on? Is it something with training? Is it the turf? Is it the cleats? I don't know, anything that.
Didn't they? Did I see today that they have a new chief of medicine or something?
Well, it's been the same guy that was trying since the 2019 offseason. Like
I could have sworn. I guess I took that comment as it's a new one again.
No, but it's like
Chris, apparently, as a heads up, only one of the mics are coming through.
Who else can't hear? Let's see. Let's check it out. Everybody let us know if you can hear all 3 or who can you hear only.
Oh, I can just scream at you if it helps.
No, I'd rather not. I've had a crying baby last night. I've had crying kids all day at school. I'd rather not have a crying LJ.
Yeah, but I would still have a higher pitched voice, and
That's true. That's true.
But for those of you who don't know, who are listening, as I try and broach over this technical difficulty and just put the curtain up. Obviously, we're streaming this live. There's something new we're trying to end the show. So if you're listening to this as a podcast, hello. If you're on YouTube, you probably can't hear me at the minute. So
It might be only one person. Only one. So someone. Okay. Oh, so wait. Hold on. So hold on. It says I have one mic off. I have one mic on.
Really? Oh. Turn the desktop audio all the way up.
I did.
Oh. Going well. Everything's fine.
It says Chris is on. Okay, hold on. LJ's kind of quiet. Only hear me. Oh, I'm the only voice for everybody right now. Okay, hold on. Let's see.
Oh, how soothing that
Of course, it's so soothing.
Just Chris giving his little.
Let's see what I can do here. Let's see what I can do here.
They said LJ and Bryan are really soft. I don't know if they.
You are very soft.
Me as a person.
Well, he's not wrong. I'm just a big teddy bear, aren't I? Let's be honest.
You are very soft.
Yeah.
How do you know how I am emotionally?
Is it therapy or a podcast?
Is my wife?
Hold on, guys.
Oh my god.
Technical difficulties here.
Is she putting it out there? Is she the source?
It's
I hear the bottom guy to clear his. So Chris, you can hear the clearest because I guess it's
And hosting it, but that shouldn't have happened. Hold on. Let's see what I can do here.
Chris got a big head from the solo podcast. Oh, that's
I did.
What it is. You know what?
Yo, Duck,
That's what it is.
Duck. What's going on, man? Duck's my boy. Now we're gonna fight.
Dude, Duck, I'm pretty sure Duck is your number 1 fan. Like every post-game stream we have, like the first thing he says towards the end of it is like, "Hey, Flippin The Birds are coming soon. Tell Chris to mention this." And I'm like, I love that. It gets me so hyped up. I'm like, oh my god, there's another guy coming. It's so cool. So like Duck, I'm pretty sure. Like, have you got Duck a t-shirt yet? Because get Duck a t-shirt and do it.
Now there's an echo. What's going on?
Duck just called you a teddy bear. Couldn't be. I don't know. He said you're sick. You couldn't be a big teddy bear.
Oh. True. I don't know. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I've got a bit of a.
It's good to be skinny in 2020, right?
I don't know. This is why I'm going to the gym. One of the transformation pics of 1 week at the gym, and then that's it. It's 1 week before, 1 week after. I'm done for the year. My session's done.
That's the perfect workout plan.
I do it every year. Like literally, I've paid the same membership every month for about 2 years, and it's like £30. So I reckon about $50 a month. And I go about 4 times a year, and I can't be bothered to cancel because I know I want to go to the gym. It's one of those things like the second I take it, I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. I could have gone to the gym tonight.
Are you the person that joins the gym when the new year hits, kind of New Year, new body. Is that your slogan, LJ, on the low?
Kind of, yeah, a bit like that. And then I annoy everyone. And then, like, my arch nemesis walked into the gym today. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, but that was a scary moment. I didn't know how to handle it. Maybe that's a story for the pod. I mean, I'm sure we can cut all this out in post. This is fine.
Oh yeah,
But-
don't worry about that. Yeah, I got that.
So in this very relevant Eagles discussion, it is a story time while we're sorting out the audio difficulties. Back when I was 15 years old. All right, no, 17. Sorry, I was at college. Walking, there's a big hill. It was snowing. We never get snow in England. And I was walking.
You know what? Hold on, guys. We'll be right back.
No, the story.
Wait, it never snows in England? What about in every Disney movie?
Hold on. We'll be right back.
Oh, are we good?
Hold on. I'm going to go back to this,
Chris is 21.
and I'm.
Oh no, not that. It should just say desktop audio like, underneath mic. It's like it's one you can't move.
Underneath. Things are built-in microphone or blue snowball. Okay, shut up.
Ow.
All right. I think we got it.
Character out of Wallace and Gromit. He's a giant. You think I'm like a tree, like gangly limbs? He is like 6'8", just waddles everywhere, and he lobbed a snowball at my head. And I don't know why he did it. And he was laughing, and all his mates were laughing, and they knew the girl that I was like walking down the hill with. So I held a grudge ever since. And then I always used to see him in nightclubs, and he used to turn his nose up at me. And I told my little brother about it this year because he started like going out now. And we started a bit of a rivalry. So we got our own back over Christmas, and we lobbed a Santa hat at their head, at his head. No, he walked into the gym today, and I was like, the one time I actually go, he's just there. And I was like, oh my god, no. So here he is on a treadmill, doing my little thing, running, and it's this giant, like, oaf just strides into the gym, and we make eye contact, and I didn't know what to do. Like, my whole life, this has been 6 years of rivalry. This is like a WrestleMania promo video at this point, of like, the snowball, and the Santa hat, and the gym. And there's a main event coming, and I can feel it. But during, like, the winter, when me and brother were, like, going out clubbing, like, we saw him, and my brother was, oh, come on, mate, I need to go over here. So I was like, oh, okay, cool.
So we walked over, and he just stood by him, and we were just stood next for no reason. We were just stood in the corner dancing next. I was like, what are we doing here? There's no point. Just to try and get in his head. It's all mind games, Brian. All right, I'm a tactical masterpiece. Like, I'll tell you, World War III ain't ready for me. Like, I'm gonna make that guy regret ever throwing that snowball one day.
It sounds like a classic battle of Jim Harbaugh versus Jimmy Schwartz.
It's not
exactly how it sounded.
I'm hoping that this story has tied us over enough to know the audio's okay now.
Well, it looks like I fixed it because I took off my headphones and now I have it straight coming from the mic to the speakers. So everything is coming from your voices are coming from the speakers into my microphone. I think we're good.
You're broadcasting lessons now. We're fine.
Yes, I think. Yeah, I think.
We got the engine rolling. That's what we gotta know.
It's something's turning up here. I don't know what it is, but something.
So it's the thought that counts.
I do want to go into Schwartz growing everybody, but first and foremost, Howie Roseman kind of declaring that he feels like the super window is closing to a sense right now. I this is like a proud father moment. I feel like Miles Sanders has infused.
Oh, shut up.
No. This is episode 26. You know what 26 stands for?
Shut up.
You know what 26 stands for? Say it. Go ahead. Miles Sanders.
I was
Shut
trying to think of what you comment and I couldn't. I was just.
But anyways, I feel like the Super Bowl window's closing. I personally don't feel like that, but I'm kind of happy he feels that kind of sense of urgency because now it's kind of like focus on the youth, but at the same time, could it hurt them if they're focusing on youth so much where players like Malcolm Jenkins are kind of forced out or let go back the way Brian Cameron was in 2008?
For me, I don't know with this whole youth infusion thing now. Like, I think it would be amazing if they focus on, like, bearing in mind you've got 7 picks in the first 4 rounds. I mean, my opinion's always been that the guys on offense come in and energized it. Like Miles Sanders played a big part of it. It's okay, we can.
Huge part. Don't say big part.
Just
there.
The biggest part of it. But then you've got Greg Ward coming in and always wanting to turn upfield after a catch. You don't see that with Aguilar. You didn't see it with Jeffrey. Guys like Josh Perkins, Boston Scott, and I think it just reinstated that belief in Carson Wentz. But I think the youth infusion Howie's on about is more thinking when they started this window 4 years ago now. Baby Carson Wentz comes out, still about as much facial hair as me. That's changed for him. They had Malcolm Jenkins to a deal, Rodney McLeod to a deal, Brandon Brooks was signed to a deal, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox got his big payday. It was a case of just really fortifying the trenches and building from the ball outwards. And then when you've got that core for the next few years, you haven't got to worry about them. This was the first year they had to, and you saw 2 mid-season contract extensions. When you get to the off-season, now you've got Malcolm Jenkins and Rodney McLeod. None of us really know what they're going to do. Like, are they staying? Are they going? Jenkins especially seems up in the air, whereas McLeod's like, yeah, I want to come back. I love Philly. Jenkins, I think, is a bit tired of it at this point, and I don't really blame him. But that's what I think now it has to be a case of, right, that core, what we've got left that's good, so like Brooks and Johnson, keep it, but the guys that are maybe on the edge of decline, Brandon Graham had an amazing year, but he's getting up there in age. Jason Peters was one of the cornerstones, definitely won't be back. There are players you have to get the next step for, and it didn't work with Derek Barnett, I don't think. He has been underwhelming since he's been drafted. Dillard, I'd like to think it's an exception to that and should be okay, but they've got to start putting these next steps in place, and they haven't been. It's been kind of plug free agents, so hopefully this is the year that changes. But they've got to avoid that full rebuild, and I think that this is the closest they've come to it.
It's not a rebuild; it's a retool. It's the Seahawks. I hate the Seahawks right now, but it's the Seahawks, and we're getting there. I personally think. Do I have to go on my Jenkins rant right now?
No.
What about me? Or?
Jenkins for later. Let's say Jenkins for later.
But
I'm scared.
I mean, I'm happy how we did finally admit that this team needs some youth. You've gone so many years now where even going back to the Dream Team, where you're getting all these veterans, getting Ronnie Brown in, Vince Young is in there.
Oh,
Then we get Namdi. Getting all these older veterans because of their name, because of what they did in past seasons, and hoping that they can do that in older seasons for the Eagles. You know, I mean, like LJ said before, Malik Jackson was probably the best signing we had other than Deshaun. I mean, he was a trade. But probably the best signing we had because he was young and he was never hurt until he met the Eagles medical staff. You know, and it's you know, Jordan Howard too. He's been so healthy throughout his career, and then hi, I'm the Eagles doctor. You have a shoulder stinger that's going to be day to day for 2 months. You know, it's crazy how it's happened, and you know, but it's finally, you know, how he finally looked himself in the mirror and said, you can't hold on to old loves anymore. You know,
don't get me my feelings. Don't. That's such a
you
hard
can't.
thing to do.
He
Like,
went
kids
he
are
went
involved
full
and things
he
like
went
that.
full LJ and said you can't hold on to old flames anymore. And this is not Madden where you can go into edit settings and change their ratings and, you know, turn off injuries, turn off decline,
Change their age.
turn to lower their age. You know, you can't give Alshon Jeffrey, you know, 0 injury on his calf or shoulder or anything. You know, it's finally, and that might, you know, looks like we're gonna keep all our draft picks. You know, I mean, we have enough to move up if we wanted to. If we wanted to go from 21 to in the teens, you know, it's and you still, if you do that, you might trade your first and maybe a third, one of the thirds, and move up into the teens, and you still got your second round pick and 8 other picks. You know, there's still a lot to make this team youthful and still talented. The Super Bowl window is not closing anytime soon. It's not. As long as we have Carson Wentz as quarterback, it's not going to close anytime soon. You know, I still believe in JJ. I still believe.
I think he'll have a good second.
I will
I'm pretty sure
never,
about that.
I will never, unless it's Clayton Thorson, give up on a rookie.
You did it.
Give up
You made it.
on a rookie before we see how they pan out. We saw how that worked with Brandon Graham. Everybody was screaming bust at him and saying he wasn't worth the 13th overall pick. And now look at him. Where would
But
this
it sounded
defensive
like
line?
how we kind of regretted the JJ pick. When
I mean, yeah, I mean, you could see where they were coming from, though. Like he said that you have guys who had less than 40 catches in a season, making an impact. So I mean, they're what's the word I'm looking for? They're
I think it's. I know analytics is a big thing. Do you not think it's a bit too, especially for wide receiver? Like, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know how they scout their players. I don't know what criteria they use. But if you look at the history of the receivers drafted as of late, it hasn't exactly gone glowingly well. Even back to Josh Huff, you know, like I know a lot's changed in that time. But when you're bringing up a stat like, oh well, some of the leading receivers didn't have 40 catches at college, it's well fine. But then look at raw traits. And look at production, and maybe that's the thing. Like, I don't know. It definitely sounds like Roseman has looked himself in the mirror, hung
That's a
over,
great thing.
and gone, "Oh my God, what was that? What has happened? What's gone there?" And there's probably a lot of it that he's not mentioned that we've already glossed over or won't even think about. But you know, Matt Collins was another one. Shelton Gibson, who his highlight of his Eagles career was a PI after being cut from the team. Like, drafting receivers hadn't gone well, so. Is it talent evaluation? Is it more accountability, not just on players that fans should be harping on for, but definitely front office as well? And I think we're finally getting that. It's nice to see. Like, he hasn't had a reason to before. This is the first bit of adversity I think Roseman's met since 2016. You know, he was like, what, GM of the year and little young...
It's fine. It's time. I feel like when he got the GM title back from Chip Kelly, he made it a point to show that he can do the job. And he did. We got a Super Bowl out of it.
But he lost his edge.
I think it's time for him to look to get the job back from himself, because now he needs to look at himself and say, all right, I was on this high. I told Chip Kelly to suck it, and now look, I rode that high for so long. Now it's time for me to take control of what I know back, you know, again. And go back to 2016 Howie, 2017 Howie, see how I did things then, and maybe do it again now, and sign a Robbie Anderson, and sign some young defensive players like Joe Sherbert. I want Joe Sherbert so bad, but you know, sign these younger players. No one in their 30s. I mean, me and Brian are 30, and it already sucks to get out of bed. You know,
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Still
I mean,
20,
I'm
22
you know.
yeah, bullshit. Yeah,
That's still 22, papa.
yeah, right. 22 broken limbs, 22 cracks as soon as you wake up in the morning.
I'm not gonna lie, though. I have a weird, like, I feel like I need to crack my leg, but it's not cracking. I don't know if that's the thing that just comes with age. But
Because you're old.
Let's not focus on my leg.
Because you're old.
I mean,
You turn 31 in a few weeks.
Like, I get up.
Bryan turns 31 in a few weeks.
Oh,
Damn it, I do.
What?
Thanks, Chris.
Happy
Thank you,
birthday.
Chris the Birds. Anyways, let's focus on the older guys. Let's focus on Mike Rowe, Jim Schwartz, Carson Walsh. Apparently, Doug committed to Carson and Mike, saying that, yeah, they'll be back there on the staff. And then so Jim Schwartz, he was kind of, yeah, he'll be back in Philly. I think he's going to take a flight back here anyways. And I know it's like everybody has to be evaluated. So obviously, the whole world knows we cannot stick with this.
He was all over the place today.
coordinator. Yeah, he was definitely dancing around. You see the bottle, the water bottle thing?
Oh, he had some vivid. He was listening to a
He was
Chris
like-
level analysis. He was just.
What was he doing?
He had some good boom the night before. He was on one.
I'm pretty sure Schwartz is not gonna be back. I mean, there's a lot of confidence going around that the Browns may go with him, but Mike Rowe and Carson Walsh, obviously, you can't have them around this team anymore. Like it's a fact that this team has not grown since 2017, and it's obviously not because of Doug, because we know what Doug could do in a sense of urgency. Like that's the new norm. Doug panicking on the urgency and pulling out crazy tricks from his hat.
I mean, you've seen you know my feelings on Schwartz.
So let's start with Grow then. Let's start with Grow and Walsh.
What I'm saying is, you know my feeling on Schwartz.
Tempered.
You know my feeling on Schwartz, but I would understand if he was back next year. I would understand. I would. I'm tempted to see this defense. Want to see this defense with an influx of more young talent and talent that stays healthy with his schemes. If he tempers it to more bump and run than these damn cover zeros with DK Metcalf on Marcus Epps. You know, but anyways.
Just to interrupt you real quick, Ron legendary Jaws, Ron Jaworski, just started following Flippin the Birds on Twitter.
Get out of here.
And myself.
And me. Hey.
And you, look at that.
He's on a follow spree.
I remember about 3 years ago, I emailed his golf club and was like, "Hey, advertise."
Wait, time out. You emailed his golf club?
Yeah, not his actual club that he plays with. It's in like
I haven't seen not his golf.
So it was a golf club. So I emailed him, was like, "Hey, you know, like you could advertise a PSA. I'm sure we could get something going. Obviously, we've got demographic and stuff." Didn't reply to that. But then I've been on the mailing list for, hey, come and get a round of golf in for 50% off over the holiday ever since. And it's just salt in the wound, and I'm not a fan of it. All right, Ron, I'm not happy. Stop offering me discount golfing holidays. I don't want to come and play golf. I was trying to do you a nice deal, and you're trying to get me to come and play golf. I'm sick of it, Ron. I'm not letting go.
Hold on. Before we continue, can we just go into the chat right now? I need to answer someone right now.
Oh my goodness, I'm curious as to what this is gonna be.
I need to answer Hassan Yukar.
Oh, no.
Oh my god.
He's okay. He's just having a.
He just said, he just said, none of you mans got a cupcake in you, and I want to agree with him and say that I do not have a cupcake in me, and I'm really jealous that I don't have a cupcake in me right now because I really want a cupcake.
Well, there we are. That's the elite content that we.
Is it a stuffed cupcake that you want? Is that what you want?
No, let me get some cupcakes.
Alright,
No.
cupcake
Oh,
bowl.
wait. Before we continue again, back in the chat, JJ just said, "Go get Pat Shermer for OC." No.
Hey, do you want to know a funny story about Pat Shermer?
Hold on. He was the OC for Chip Kelly. He was the interim.
I'll have you know, it's an interim. He's undefeated as an Eagles head coach.
That's
So
true, and I was at that game. But still,
What I know, baby.
Pat Shermer can stay the fuck away from these Eagles.
Hey, right. Thing about Pat Shermer, back in the day. So this was 2 years ago. So every team has conferences, you know that. Every week we all get the transcripts and we write articles about them, and it's great. But the Giants, for whatever reason, are the only road team that offer a conference call.
right? And normally they're private, and you have to be in a certain room, and it's like at the Link or Novacare Complex or wherever. But the Giants, it's like remote. So I got an email through with the number, and I called in, and no one was there, and it was just me and Pat. And we had a nice little chat. But then I realised that while I was having this discussion and asking all these questions about the upcoming game and his memories of the Eagles and this, that, and the other, that I was sat behind Skype. So it wasn't video, it was audio, right? So Pat Sherman's probably in a nice room with one of them nice little model conference things, you know, hands up, talking. I'm in my underwear with a beer. Pat Sherman. And he's got no idea. He thinks I'm in the room with all the other reporters who are asking questions. And I'm just sat here, sipping away, like, if only he knew. If only he knew. So there you go. We're full of the good stories tonight. We've had the Ron Jaworski beef. We've got the Pat Shermer underwear. What a time to be alive.
Well, apparently Jaws is following the whole PSN according to Prospect.
We made it. We made it.
Yeah, we made it somewhere, right?
Me? Are you following me?
There we go.
I'm not even following him. I'm you know what? No, you can sit there.
That's the breaking news.
No follow back.
Right
No follow back.
No follow back.
I'm waiting on that. I'm playing hard to get with Jaws. All right, is what's happening. You can think about what he's done, and I will.
All right, back. Let's circle back. Circle back.
Jaws has distracted us.
Circle back. Grow needs to go, but like I just don't understand how you see and Carson Walsh. Like, how do you see both of them? If you're Doug Peterson, and say, yeah, when Grow scripted these 15 plays, yeah, I wanted to run it 3rd and 2 and 4th and 2 with Darren Sproles. Yeah, that was great. That was a great idea. Yeah, I wanted to pass it from shotgun when we were 3rd and inches and not do anything 4th and inches and just go from shotgun and just try and run a slant right into. No, yeah, Mike Grow, you are a genius. Or Carson Walsh, you really developed these wide receivers so great that we had no idea who Greg Ward was until week 13.
Right,
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I mean, Greg Ward came in September. He came in
September. Started look like receivers.
What?
Listen, I need you to relax. We'll start real quick, okay? Take a second, all right? You're acting like the guy from the Geico commercial, the caveman, and you just act like Chris. There you go.
I hope Jules isn't in this stream and just heard my rant about his golf club. I'm sure it's a lovely golf club. No, I'm sure the fairways are great. I'm sure it's lovely. The clubhouse got a nice menu. I just wanted to work with you, and you just emailed me about golfing trips. So I got upset. Okay, it's just on a separate note. But back to Mike Groh. I do fundamentally disagree.
Wait, what?
I wouldn't be. 6 weeks ago, I'd have been a
I'm gonna hang up on you.
Been like, get rid of him, get him out, get him gone. Fair enough, right? The thing is, right? Okay, I've said this so many times recently, and I'm sorry if anyone's watching or listening that has heard this from me, because it's going to be the exact same words. But right, think about it. I know he's got a habit of saying the worst thing at the worst time possible, right?
He's very terrible at that.
He break the offense, which also isn't great. But when it all failed, all right, how much changed? How much, since everyone went down, wide receiver 1, 2, 3, RT1, RG1, RB1, all of them gone, right? And out of nowhere, magically out of nowhere, we're seeing design sprint outs, design rollouts. Miles Sanders is no longer in shotgun. And what's the thing with Miles Sanders, Chris? What's the big knock on Miles Sanders? Oh, it's the decision making. It's not quite there yet. So what you do is you put him further back behind the line of scrimmage, give him more time to think. And then out of nowhere, Miles Sanders is an RB1 and he's flying through holes like they're non-existent, right? If we're going to come down like a ton of bricks on Mike Groh for everything he's done wrong, we can at least say, hey, do you know what? He might have at least earned an argument to keep his job for a bit. I'm not saying forever. I'm not saying he's going to be around and he's the ultimate OC and he shouldn't be replaced, but he's redeemed himself to some extent, which was way beyond my expectation. I was expecting to be like angrily getting rid of him. I'm like, if they keep him, I get it. I think he has to grow into the role, for lack of a pun. But he's make an argument to say,
hey, Liam.
Hello. that's not what we know. was a definite offensive change.
But what if it came out that the reason why this offense turned up is because Doug finally got fed up and he took complete control and just let Grow be the facade.
If that's the case, then fair enough.
And let Grow be the facade of it all, and Doug EP, just being the wholesome guy that he is with his ice creams and everything. He just said, you know what, Mike, you can still go to the podium, and we're not going to embarrass you in the end of the season and say that we completely gave up on you and say you suck as an offensive coordinator. I'm going to take it back. Hey, you're kind of going to be in the offensive, play calling, kind of. You're still going to have that title, but you're just going to stand there and with a microphone, with a headset on, and just act like you're saying something when it's not going to be plugged in at all. It's maybe it's that kind of thing there, because Doug, when it's really just him, he has the creative mind, but when he has a dunce cap like Mike Groh coming into, it really throws the whole. This is coming from a teacher, okay? This is coming from a teacher when there's kids saying some really smart things, and then one kid comes in and goes, haha, 2 + 2 is 6, and then they all start laughing and everything. It throws everything off.
I have a question for LJ.
Oh no, okay.
It's not terrible.
Like Liam, because that's what I'm seeing in the chat right now, and it's scary.
I'm being very distracted by the Oi Liam.
Oi Liam.
I see you. It's okay. I'm here. It's all right. It's okay. I'm here.
He wants you to make a video of.
But the thing is, right? As much as the Jordan Mailata thing is amazing, okay, I don't know anything else about rugby. I did the Jordan Mailata thing because he plays for the Eagles. I don't even understand rugby as much as I would like to, and I wouldn't want to do this sport a disservice. So maybe if we grow to a point where we can expand, I'll think about it. But until then, just keep teaching me, Hassan. It's all right. Anyway, okay. Right, what were you saying?
So are you pretty much? I'm trying to understand where you're coming from with this. Are you pointing out the wide receiver issues and the offensive issues to the actual players opposed to Mike Groh?
Nah, I'm saying that.
Are they to blame? Is that what you're saying?
No, right. Don't you get rhetorical on me like it's very right.
I'm curious. I'm very curious about this. It kind of makes sense what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm with Chris as well. Like, Groh has to go.
All right, earlier in the season, all we know about Mike Groh, really, other than the fact he can't do a press conference to save him life, despite.
And then he got fired by his father in Virginia.
And that, right? Okay, but right.
And he's from a small town. He's from a small town that's actually 10 minutes from where I live.
Okay, we know a bit more. All we know about Mike Groh, in terms of what he does, is he scripts the first 15 plays of the game. Throughout the first half of the season, starting slow was the biggest problem with this Eagles offense. When was the last time anyone mentioned starting slow? Anyone?
For the last 5 weeks.
Because Doug took over.
That's what I'm saying, right? If that's the case, fire him, and he will go. If that's the case,
maybe that meeting after Miami with Jason Kelce getting all bent out of shape was Jason Kelce's hand. Get your ass back into play calling.
If that's the case, if he was that bad, would Peterson have been as confident as he was? Like, he was bizarrely confident about Mike Groh. With Schwartz,
but then he wasn't. Then he really was.
It was weird. He backtracked right away. He's like, everybody has to be evaluated, guys.
He's like, yeah, they're gonna be back, but maybe like I said this on Twitter earlier. Maybe this is a case of where Mike Groh stays at offensive coordinator just with the title, but they bring.
We already know Juice Staley helps coordinate the run
game, and they bring in maybe an offensive consultant, kind of like how Gary Kubiak is the offensive consultant for Minnesota. They did that. Maybe they do that. I mean, they have Stefanski over there, but they still have Gary Kubiak kind of working around as an offensive consultant. Right. Maybe we get something because on the defensive end we have Matt Burke, right, as a defensive consultant for Jim Schwartz.
I don't get that move at all.
It's stupid, but it made me believe that we were getting Minka Fitzpatrick. But it's.
But then Jake Bizzle, who comes into every post-game stream and gives us just some high-quality, genuine Eagles debate, I know he's disagreeing with me, and he was saying, like, hey, the Eagles started slow all season long until the last 5 weeks, which is a period that stood out to me as this is a changed offense. It became a lot less about Carson Wentz distributing the ball to playmaker X, Y, and Z and spreading it around, and don't force it to Ertz because the receiver's going to cry to Josina Anderson. It became a lot less of that, and it became get Carson Wentz on sprint outs and rollouts and let him work magic. And it became
Carson play the game.
the best players on the team. And if that was a Doug decision, and if Mike can be a yes man and stay around while Doug Peterson does everything, fine. But if there is a slight chance that he probably had some hand in coordinating an offense like his job title would suggest, I'm just saying let's not give him as much hatred as he probably deserved 6 weeks ago, because he has redeemed himself a bit. If he gets fired, I'm not going to go, oh, well, that was a mistake. But I'm at least going to go, well...
I'm going to at you and everything.
Why? Right, let's not forget you wanted Jalen Ramsey. Let's not go back down that road.
Who's that?
Chris wanted anybody and everybody that was available for trade.
Who's Jalen Ramsey?
It's like, right, we're in.
Who the hell is Jalen
Ryan
Ramsey?
Fitzpatrick? Yes.
The only person I wanted was Minka.
Behave now. That's a lot.
I'm pretty sure we have some articles about Jalen.
I just wanted Minka. You see the impact Minka had on the Steelers. Imagine him on the Eagles.
I wanted Minka. I was on the boat with you for Minka. Jalen Ramsey got a speedboat and left me for dead though. I was still in the water swimming around.
All right, so just my little tidbit, so we can move on offensive coordinator ideas. I know we all understand. Those of us in the United States understand that Mike Rowe needs to go. It might be.
Started World War III.
It might be the time difference that this is.
Yeah, well, we'll blame. I'm not saying he doesn't need to go. I'm just saying let's not be as mean, right?
And we're all everybody on Twitter is like, why don't we get this person? Why don't we get this person? I would love Jay Gruden as the offensive coordinator. I would love Josh McCown as offensive coordinator. I would, people. I saw someone today say, let's get Dan Orlovsky as QB coach, and then Josh McCown. Who's to say these people even want to do these things? Like Dan Orlovsky, love the guy. He has a great cushiony job at ESPN, paying him millions of dollars so he could sit on TV and roast people in a suit and tie. Why the hell would he want to change that for a sweatshirt and sweatpants and a microphone and a headset on the side of Philadelphia in January? And the same thing with defensive coordinator. People are saying, Wade Phillips. He was just in L.A. for the last few years, and he's 70-something years old. Why the hell would he want his brittle-ass bones coming over to Philadelphia and doing all these things? It's great in context. It's great to say all these big names, but, offensive coordinator, if Groh's gone, you're most likely looking at a head coach who can't get any other job or wants a little stopgap. But at the same time, you see that in Jim Schwartz, where all these reports are saying Jim Schwartz was hired as the guy that if Doug didn't pan out, Jim Schwartz would have stepped in, and there was a little clash there. So if you get another head coach, a former head coach, then maybe they do that in the same way, and Doug is kind of looking behind him like, you're gunning for my job, get off. Maybe you get a QB coach, who up and coming QB coach, or maybe I want Joe Brady so bad from LSU, someone who wants to climb the ranks in the NFL to prove himself on a high caliber. Like, what kind of job would be lined up for someone who comes from as a college coach to be an offensive coordinator in the NFL, who brought the Eagles offense from practice squad misfits to a top offense in the NFL? Like, that people would be lining up for him with tens of millions of dollars to offer.
My issue is with, I think, any of the coordinator chat at the minute is like, I forgot my point. Forget it. Hang on, I've done an analogy. I forgot what I was going to say.
And my whole thing with 3-4, 4-3. I don't care if we switch, because Fletcher, I know he's more of a 4-3 defensive tackle. I get it, but his last season in the 3-4 as defensive end, he had 9.5 sacks with 70-something tackles. So he can do it. He can do it all. He's an all-pro. He's an elite player. That we don't have any linebackers right now. So if you want to say that we don't have the linebackers for 4-3-4, well, we don't have a linebackers for 4-3 either. So it's you develop and draft and sign for the defensive coordinator. 7 of the top 10, and someone I forgot who it was, asked me today, why would you go to a 3-4 if you're going against Zeke and Barkley and Geis in the division? Geis has played one game against the Eagles. He had 18 yards. In his career. Zeke and Barkley, they're kind of scheme proof. They can do it all on any scheme. But 7 of the top 10 rush defenses were 3-4s. it's all about personnel. If we have that personnel, we can do it. We just to get good personnel. Maybe drafting a linebacker in the first round for the first time since 1979. Who knows? It's I don't know.
Right. I remember my point now. Back to, you made a point at the start of your point about the Jim Schwartz and the article thing, right? All I will say is it's no coincidence. The timing that McLean randomly drops these vital nuggets of information never ceases to amaze me, right? And again, the best advice someone ever told me when I was first starting out was everything gets out because someone wants it out. All right, so if something randomly comes out that's a bit, it's because someone somewhere along the line has pushed that and gone, yeah, say that, right? Jim Schwartz, do you remember before the Bills game, and Jim Schwartz, there was another Philly Voice article about Jim Schwartz, said that he had a hand in personnel moves, and that he was responsible for Zach Brown when I think it was Roseman wanted the Patriots linebacker, right? And out of nowhere, one game later, Schwartz, all the issues that we'd had about the schematic deficiencies and all the stuff we were complaining, magically evaporated. Like 1 week later, magically went away. Right, and now that Schwartz might be leaving, it's because he wanted to be a head coach, and now it's to be a head coach. Oh, Jim Schwartz wants. It's like they're always padding, or there's always an angle, and it's like I don't distrust it, but it's always very interesting that this never came out when Jim Schwartz hired his defensive coordinator. Well, this is if Doug doesn't pan out. Instant analysis. It's not. No one ever says that. But 5 years later, when he's going to be poached up as a head coach, it's that was the plan all along, and I knew it. Didn't tell a soul, baby. Like, look at where it's coming from. Look at the reasons why. I'm not sure how much I buy into that. Like, I think there's a chance he probably does come back, especially like if you've got the Niners defensive coordinator interviewing. But just that's the only thing with anything that comes out of that.
I could have sworn that he's not interviewing there anymore. I think I saw that Browns want a decision by the weekend. That they interviewed Schwartz today. They're interviewing Stefanski tomorrow, and they're interviewing McDaniels Friday. And after those three, they're going to make a decision by Saturday. I think I saw.
Schwartz on top of the list too, because of the whole analytics thing.
And then I saw. Did you see the report? Did you see the report of when the Browns were with the Eagles joint practice in 2018, and Schwartz went up to Mayfield. And he told Mayfield, "Hey, I never played quarterback, but if I ever played quarterback, I would have wanted my style to be like your style."
What, erratic and a nightmare? Sounds like it's defense.
It sounds like Schwartz. It sounds like Schwartz third and long situations.
Hey, I never played quarterback, but I modeled my whole defense after you. Whole defense.
My stick defense is called actually when they hear me say Mayfield, it's six defense.
Six. God's sake.
So let's let the coordinators breathe a little bit. Let's let them vacation from our chat. The Eagles have a very, very, very important offseason coming up. They have a lot of current Eagles that are going to be free agents. Several current Eagles are not so sure they're going to be Eagles heading into the 2020 season. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I do have the list right now of free agents. So I'm going to go down the list. And I need you guys' honest opinion on pretty much. Let's do a stay or go at this point.
Okay. I'm gonna ruin my video that's coming. Damn it. Okay. I'm gonna say the opposite to what's in the video. Hold on, 5-year deal. Get inside.
So we have unrestricted free agents. Obviously, I'm pretty sure we're all gonna agree on this. Jason Peters.
No. Gone.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
Unless he wanted. If Kelsey retires, Sayamalo moves to center, and Peters moves to guard. That's the only way I take him back.
Okay. This is going to be a very tricky one. Rodney McLeod.
Yes.
Love him. Stay. I mean, honestly, I think he's one of the best players on that defense. Like, he has his moments, but yeah, I'm keeping him. Get him a nice, just a little incentivized deal. You can still be kind of calm with it, but I'd keep Rodney.
And the key thing about McLeod and Jenkins is, me and Chris discussed it on last week's pod. McLeod and Jenkins led the league in safety tandems for safeties who had 13 or more interceptions or 13 or more forced fumbles as well, like combined. So definitely need to keep McLeod, in my opinion, as well. Nelson Aguilar.
Ooh, that's a tricky one, isn't it?
I'm gonna beat you guys. I'm gonna say go, but go for his own well-being at this point.
Yeah.
Aguilar?
Huh?
Aguilar, you said?
Nelson Aguilar, yes.
He's gone.
I know that.
I mean, if you read my article that says thank you 2018, it says thank you. Bye.
It's not like it was featured on Bleacher Report or anything.
Yeah.
I never even edited it. I don't know where it came from. Did that go up today?
That happened.
No, yeah, he's gone. Like, unless it's a very, 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 very cheap deal. Like, I would much rather.
Imagine the tweets, imagine the headlines, imagine all of the things. If you see the notification, Eagles re-sign Nelson Aguilar, things will blow up.
Alright, yeah, we'll get rid of him. It's fine. It's okay. Bless him. Right.
Here's me a fun one. Ronald Darby.
Goodbye.
I'm not gonna say anything because I think everyone here already knows my opinion so much. I
Goodbye.
would feel awful just
Goodbye.
burning headphones again.
Goodbye. Bye.
I would rather text every ex-girlfriend I've had and tell them I'm still in love with them than see Ronald Darby play another snap in Midnight Rain.
Goodbye.
Alright, so I'm very curious about this next
And
person.
there are some crazy ones, there are some okay ones, and there's other, but no, all of them at once in the same conversation with my mum in the room.
Jalen Mills.
Yes.
I would rather.
Yes. I think I know contingent on maybe a more of a 1 year prove it, because he was hurt this year, he was hurt last year. Maybe the prove is worth, and maybe more as a if he agreed to be a rotational more.
Yeah, I think the only way he comes back is as a rotational piece. Like, at this point, I think the secondary has been such a problem for so long. Where, I mean, even Howie alluded to it. He's I won't talk about specific groups, but there are focal points. It's like, well, clearly, during the reference to that question, we know where it's going. So I would probably go with, I'd start again. Like, you've got something in Sidney Jones. No one knows what it is yet, but it's there. It's something, right? Rasul Douglas, to me, is a trade chip, I think, at this point. Like, he was the most valuable trade chip last year. I think that's one of the best articles I wrote, that he was the most valuable trade chip around the draft time. I think Avonte Maddox, you have to kind of give him another go. And after that, Cravon LeBlanc, who is getting a stat sheet outside the link anyway. So, but I think at that point, sign a couple of free agents, maybe draft someone good, but just you don't need Jalen Mills unless it's like a CB4.
And I'm not going to go down the whole list, but I'm very curious about this next one. I think we're all going to have possibly different answers. Jordan Howard.
Depends on the price.
I'll do you a deal. No, I'm saying no.
I'm in the same boat. I feel like you don't want to start Sky and Sanders
Depends on the price. I like the tandem between the two, but if he wants he's probably gonna want to be a starter net somewhere, and that's fine. He deserves it. I was a big proponent of him the whole season. I loved Jordan Howard. I loved the signing. I wanted him last year before he was even traded this year. I love the guy, but it really depends on the price. If he really wants to come back and he knows the situation, knows that Miles is pretty much the number one guy now, and Jordan Howard's going to be more of the LeGarrette Blount type role, and Miles Sanders is going to be the number one, the J.J. of 2017, and then Jordan Howard comes in to pound it inside, then that's fine, and you're not getting top dollar. But if you want a top, third or fourth, right, probably fourth now in the league since he was drafted in terms of rushing yards since he was drafted, then no. Then you go to the draft, third round, Najee Harris, Miles Sanders, Najee Harris, Boston Scott, good to go.
Jordan Howard to it, I think if Miles Sanders didn't break out the way he did, bring him back. But for me, Howard was always going to be the back that was the bridge for Sanders. And Sanders just crossed it way sooner than anyone expected. And the way...
his own bridge.
Yeah, like, he just went around another way. And Howard's there, like, anyone coming? Like, Sanders, like, speeding up a mountain somewhere and just, like, gone the other way. But, like, I think... I think they proved that alone this year. That Sanders, Boston Scott, you can get a Corey Clement as an undrafted. Like, there are so many backs that slip through to that, the late third to maybe even day 3 and beyond that can be helpful. You don't need to invest that heavily. If Howard wants to stay in Philadelphia and is bought into Carson Wentz and really wants the Eagles as a culture, then yeah, give him a deal, like keep him as like a change of pace back or against those tighter boxes where you've got 8, defenders in there. But outside of that, if you're confident Sarnes is the guy, the same way that Sean McCoy or Brian Westbrook his first year, like just let him run loose. Like he's earning that, cross that bridge on his own.
Absolutely. And to respond to Jason Sanders and now Christopher Infante, I'm the bearded guy, Bryan Cameron. I've been co-hosting Flippin The Birds for all season long, and unfortunately our season has come to an end. Fortunately, we were able to start this podcast under the wings of Liam, and Liam has actually given us nothing but freedom with this podcast. We've had great guests on here all season. Liam has been like the uncle that always comes by.
I'm the annoying one at Christmas that comes back. Like, hey, you got turkey left?
But we really appreciate everybody following us and sticking with us. I can't wait till next season. We'll be back. What do we say, Chris? The first week of March?
We'll see. Sometime in March. Who knows?
Yeah, sometime in March before free agency, definitely. But yeah, I really thank everybody for joining us.
We need a break.
For this last one.
Brian and I are going on a break.
Yeah, it's a little mental break. I mean, Chris is a new dad. Has to get acquainted, with the daddy duties.
I'm tired of Brian texting me and then he complains that I don't text him back.
It's gonna be worse. I'm gonna be FaceTiming,
No, I'm not.
Like,
I'm ignore.
We're having a podcast like
Ignore.
that.
You be blocked.
I might just move into the town.
No, thanks.
Might be neighbors.
Yeah, I'll move.
You probably come outside, pick up the newspaper. I'll be like, hey, neighbor.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Can I just clarify? Is that a thing? As far as American stereotypes, is that a thing?
Yes, it is a thing. It depends on the town.
Where?
It depends on the town. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
There's a service around my town that they deliver newspapers onto people's porches. Yeah.
I think LJ's talking about the hey neighbor thing.
Yeah,
no,
As in,
fuck
like,
that.
Hey, how's your day going? Like that kind of overly nosy neighbor.
No.
Like in a robe and everything.
No, we.
Because me and my neighbours don't get on. We have
No,
every
we-
Saturday. It's
we
like
mind
a
our own
battle of who
business
plays
here.
the loudest music. It's not good.
No, we mind our own business here.
Well, would you like to say anything, Chris?
No, thank you guys again for dealing with us. Sorry you had to deal with Brian's face on here for the first time.
That's
But,
pretty handsome. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes,
I'd agree. I mean,
you know,
you both,
Yeah.
you know,
the handsomest men in PSN.
It's like you're Captain America when he was Steve Rogers. I'm Captain America when he was Captain America. That's pretty much it. Like the advancement.
you want to arm wrestle me?
I don't have to arm wrestle you.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. All right. But, again, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll take these few weeks to decompress and come back in March with much better things coming ahead. And thank you to our king, LJ, with his hair.
Oh, you.
I mean, sorry, Joe Burrow.
Joe,
my hair a couple times.
I still don't get that. But, if my life's going to get a lot, I might just, get Tinder Plus, put it in Louisiana, and just call myself Joe and just see what happens.
Yeah,
Like,
see what
just
happens.
for a week. Just see if I can get away with it.
You should walk around Cincinnati with a Bengals jersey that says Burrow at the back.
Imagine!
That'd be
be
so
fun.
bad.
Oh my god, right. That's gonna happen at some point. But yeah, thanks for having me back, guys. It's always a pleasure. Thanks to everyone for watching as well. I know it's a bit new with the live stream and stuff, so plenty of more live streamy, podcasty stuff coming from PSN. Like, we're flying. Like, honestly, 2020, we're just doing everything possible we can. Like, we've got so much in the pipeline. So just thank you for all your support. Stay subscribed to Flippin The Birds. I know the boys deserve a break. Bless them. They work very hard. Chris has had to do a solo task and be a dad. Brian's had job changes, and he's been running around over Christmas. And it's like, do you know what? We need to let him off. I definitely orchestrated this break, and I definitely told them, boys, relax. But no, it's an amazing job. And it's really cool that we've got such a dedicated following, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Go Birds.
Yes, sir.